Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where we are going to talk about brands that are dead. Hello beautiful, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this video where we are going to talk about brands that are no longer. Brands that died, that went away. And we're also going to talk about some brands that like resurrected, like the bird phoenix, they just... Like the phoenix from the ashes rose again. I have a bunch of things here to use and we're just gonna talk about like how come some of these brands are no longer. We're gonna reminiscent a little bit about old times and old favorites and just try to do a good look with things that quite literally are no longer available, except some new things from a brand that came back from the dead. I've made quite a lot of videos about brands when they like go under or when they file for bankruptcy. Sometimes they file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which basically means that like we're hoping to come back, which is what happened with Morphe, for example. I don't think I have any Morphe things here to be using, but sometimes they come back and sometimes like you think they're gonna come back and like then they don't. So we're just gonna be doing a full face of makeup, and I was very inspired when I saw Nomad Beauty did a video like brands that died basically, and she actually made two parts. She managed to do a second part before I was able to do my first part, but I just realized that I have quite a lot of makeup from brands that are no longer available, and I want to talk about like why do I still have them, will they survive a declutter, and let's just do a fun look and let's talk about brands that disappeared. Some came back and some are no longer. And I'm gonna start with Farsali. This is the Farsali Skin Tune. Do you remember when everybody was doing this? Like, I think my dropper is actually broken, so I don't think I can. Yeah, I can't even drop. Think that I'm almost out of this one as well, so I can't even do the thing that Farsali is known for. I'm trying to get some out because I'm almost out of this. This is a primer, the Skin Tune primer, and quite honestly this is a great primer. It is a smoothing and slightly moisturizing without being overly dewy, and it's not a silicone primer. Smells a little bit like cucumber, and I think with Farsali, like they came in like a whirlwind, like they came in strong and everybody was using them, but you never really heard a lot of people talk about why. Why Farsali? Why is it good? Do you like it, or do you just like the effect that it gives dropping it on your skin? Because back then, this was before TikTok. This was when people were doing those little Instagram like videos and just basically trying to get like the shock value of just how do you get someone to click on your video? How do you get someone to look at your video? I'm sure TikTok was around, but it just wasn't as popular. Instagram definitely was the chisel back then. And I think with Farsali, because it did disappear and it came back again, and this is actually from their like new release, and I think I have used, yeah, I've used quite a lot of this one. Unfortunately, my dropper broke, and I kind of wish it didn't have a dropper, because that's the thing with this primer. This primer is great. This primer is amazing, but nobody really talked about the primer. All the things that people were talking about Farsali was how much they loved or how much they hated the fact that you dripped it on your skin. That was all that people talked about, and I'm guessing that once the shock value was over, I don't know, they used to be at Sephora, but they're available again, and this Skin Tune one, it's actually a really good primer. I wish it wasn't a dropper though. I kind of do. Okay, let me go wet the sponge and let's go in with the brand that I think most people were surprised was gone, which was Becca. Oh, I should zoom in as well, and I'm gonna be mixing this one with the Revlon Color Stay because this was another brand that was like, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but they also were brought back from like the absolute edge of like going under. So I'm excited for Revlon. Becca, they were not as lucky. I remember this Becca Light Shifter. I remember this one came out just before them announcing that they were going under. So I don't know if they had decided that before that one was announced, or if it was like the last nail in the coffin, or if it was like inevitable, like it was already happening, but they might as well just release that one, because this like skin tint is beautiful. It's glowy, but it dries down, so it's not sticky. And I'm so sad that like it's no longer available, because it's one of the few like glowy products that I actually like really enjoy. And Becca was one of those brands, like everybody was going on and on about Becca highlighters, but there was very few occasions where people were talking about anything else Becca than their highlighters. And I mean, I'm all about having a lot of highlighters, but I realized that I'm not the average consumer, and most people will not own 50 highlighters. They'll buy one and then they'll be done basically. So the fact that they were focusing so much on highlighters, I don't know if that was like the end of it, because I know Becca had, wait, I need a concealer. Do I not have one here? I guess I don't have one from a brand. But Becca used to have a lot of products that probably would have done really good today. They used to have these like kind of glowy cream products for like cheeks, and I mean that's all the rage right now. And if they had just been able to bring those out again and just, I don't know, diversify a little bit what was popular with the brand, because I feel like all that people talked about with Becca was their highlighters and their under eye corrector, and I feel like that is like notoriously two products that people don't really repurchase a lot. So I don't want to say that like, oh, they were focusing on the wrong thing, because like, what the fluff do I know? I'm not sitting behind the scenes. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know their numbers. But Becca was owned by Estee Lauder, I think, or is it L'Oreal or Estee Lauder? I'm pretty sure it's Estee Lauder, and Estee Lauder just decided to pull the plug. And probably because they were not bringing in enough money for the effort that like they were making. It's not even sure that they were like in the negative. Like they don't need to be in the red for Estee Lauder to be like, this is more effort than it's like bringing in profit, and just wanting to focus on other brands instead. And I think when Becca went under, I feel like that's the first time when people truly went, what? A brand like that, that's available at department stores, that's available at Sephora, you mean that one can just disappear? Because Becca also led the way with being a brand that did a collab, because they did that champagne pop with Jaclyn Hill, and that was such a huge success. And I feel like they opened the doors to more mainstream brands realizing, wait, there is a lot of money to be had in influencer marketing and influencer collaborations. Not that it hadn't been done before, but maybe not to that capacity. Maybe not like at Sephora, because Champagne Pop was a hit and they were trying to ride that wave for a really long time, and maybe not succeeding as well as they were hoping, or at least not as long as they were hoping. That's what I think. I'm actually going to be using this one for the first time, and this is from BH Cosmetics. Let's talk about BH Cosmetics. These are new products from BH Cosmetics. I have a bunch here. I will link everything down below. Wait, I need to take the plastic off this one. You can see it's like, plastic! I can't even see where this one is supposed to be. How do I get this off? Do I need to get my glasses? Oh, here it is. Oh. Okay, BH Cosmetics. I used to rave so much of BH Cosmetics, and oh my god, why is this so hard to take off? And I still stand by that BH Cosmetics has an amazing eyeshadow formula. And I will say not all of them are created equal. Unfortunately, some of them are good and some of them are great. But like some of the palettes that I had been raving about, they just weren't enough apparently for the brand to be successful. And I think also with BH Cosmetics, I mean, yeah, some people were talking about them online, but not enough people were talking about them online. And also they had the smallest little stall at Ulta, and like I think eventually they weren't probably selling enough for them to have this big catalog of like 50 eyeshadow palettes that they had like on the website, because again, you kind of need to have other products as well, and they weren't sending out any PR. They didn't do affiliate codes. Nobody was really like getting the new releases beforehand. They could help them hype up the product. But BH Cosmetics announced that they were filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. I'm gonna use the cream bronzer as well, which is my skin tone. So that's gonna be interesting. And basically they were trying to sell the brand, they were looking for investors, And Makeup Revolution ended up saving BH Cosmetics and buying the brand. And since then, they have come out with new products like this cream bronzer. I have some other powder products here that I'm gonna be using. And these are the only products that have come out since then. And honestly, I mean, I'm still worried about BH Cosmetics, although this was a beautiful cream bronzer. This one is in light, and clearly, I mean, it shows up a little bit on me, but clearly if I get any more tan, I will need the medium one. But they really just had really good products, and I was so worried when Makeup Revolution came to take over, because Makeup Revolution does some products that are really good, like they make cream bronzers really good, and I'm guessing that that's probably the formula that we're seeing here. But eyeshadows, that was never Makeup Revolution's game. Come on. That's not what they do. They do it, but like they're not excelling in it. So I was kind of hoping that they were like gonna, you know, you can copy my homework and I can copy a bit from yours, and that like Makeup Revolution was gonna have better eyeshadows, which I've heard actually that they do have now, and that BH Cosmetics was gonna have a more broader catalog of different things to offer. And since then, they did come out with powders, and what else do I have here? A brow gel, mascara, micro brow pen, and a highlighter as well. And I will say this packaging, while it's not my absolute favorite, these were very, very affordable products, so I can't like fault them for that. I got this one in Tan Tuscany, which I think hopefully is just gonna set this, yeah, I think this will be good, set this down a little bit and just, I don't know, make this just a little bit more tan. I think that's doing that. I think that this bronzer probably isn't going over that good a cream bronzer. I can see that now. But I'm still holding out hope for BH Cosmetics. I'm still hoping that they're gonna come back and like release, because before they used to have like a release a month approximately, and now they haven't really had that. They had a couple of palettes that they released that Makeup Revolution did say that those palettes were actually made before they bought BH Cosmetics, and that like whatever's coming after those releases are gonna be like newly produced things. And I'm still hoping that those newly produced things are gonna come and that they're gonna be good. I don't know about this powder, y'all. Okay, this powder, and no. Is this supposed to be like a bake and like it's like emphasizing my pores. I don't like this powder at all. We're using something else. Hold, because that was not ideal. Do you see how much better it turned out now? Maybe not even that. Maybe it's unsavable. Okay, don't look too thoroughly at my pores. There's nothing to see here, people. Move on. There's nothing to see here. But yeah, I feel like BH Cosmetics, even though I wasn't super surprised that they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, because they had sales all the time and they never really released stuff that people like repurchased. Look at this blush. It is a glowy Caribbean Sunset glowy orange blush. I was still sad to see that like one of my favorite brands might be going under. And like since that happened, holy bananas. Oh, we have ourselves a winner. We have ourselves a winner. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, this is, guys, besties, friends. This one. Oh, wow. It just stopped me in my tracks. That is stunning. That is absolutely, absolutely stunning. Definitely recommend that blush. It wasn't really expensive either. Let me see if I can get a little of the powder highlighter as well. I got it in Beverly Hills. If I can open this one, sir. Oh, there's a sticker. Of course there's a sticker. One of the good things about Makeup Revolution buying BH Cosmetics is that now there are more places that you can actually buy the brand, which is a good thing, because before there was only Ulta and like BH Cosmetics. It was available at Beauté for a bit, but then I think they were not selling enough, so they kind of disappeared from the site. They also had this European BH Cosmetics that I used to purchase from. This highlighter is wow. Okay, so these powder products, they're pretty dope. These are good quality products in just kind of cheapy looking packaging, but boy are these nice. But now you can buy BH Cosmetics as a bunch of places that sells Makeup Revolution, which actually makes them easier to get a hold of. So I'm trying to be hopeful for the future. I'm hoping that there are like more good things coming ahead, although this powder, let's forget that one ever existed. I'm gonna see if I can do my brows, and let's talk about a couple of brands that disappeared that I've never tried. I've never tried them. One of them being Marc Jacobs Beauty. Marc Jacobs actually, they disappeared, but they were kind of saying or telling like brands, wait, Mega Hold Laminate Brow Gel, but it's like a lip gloss tube? Am I supposed to? This is the weirdest I've ever done in my life. What is this? Anyways, they said that like, oh, it's not gone forever, like we're coming back. But then like years passed, literally, and people were like, oh, I guess they're not coming back. But then there was this little hiccup on the Net-a-Porter website where they were like, coming soon, Marc Jacobs, and just announcing that it was like coming back. So because of the rapid pace of how makeup is releasing right now, I think that people think that like, just because some brands release stuff every week, or just because some brands release stuff every month, they probably think that like, oh, when they're done with one collection, they start working on the next one. But like, and I say this as someone that actually owns their own brand and knows how long it takes to develop something, and also as someone who's done several collabs and knows how long it takes to like develop and just think of the idea even, and then just try out samples and just produce the products. We're not talking a week here. We're talking sometimes years, definitely months. So it's not that like brands are like doing stuff more quicker, it's just that they're doing stuff simultaneously. And I think that the disappearing of Marc Jacobs and now them apparently coming back some years later maybe will give people a perspective of how long it actually takes. Because it's not a month process, it is a year's process. Even for me, starting a brand, just coming up with one product, that was years in the making, the whole process. And I cannot even imagine, even with a big team, how long it would take to just re-release an entire brand. So we'll see if they come back or not. I've never tried anything from the brand. Some people are really happy they're back. Some are indifferent about it. I don't think that necessarily Marc Jacobs was doing bad. I just think there was a lot of business talk in the background that we just don't know much about. Another brand that I have never tried anything from, that I feel just kind of flew under the radar when they disappeared, was Item Beauty by Addison Rae. I've never tried anything from the brand. I've seen them at Sephora. None of it has been like super, it's the TikTok makeup. I mean, Addison Rae is a TikTok star, and now apparently it's gone. Microblade pen. That looks like Essence with the black and the mint. So I don't know if they're like, oh, it's a brush tip. I don't know if they're like never coming back. I don't know if like she just decided that like this isn't for me. I'm guessing that Sephora dropped them because they were not selling enough products. And I mean, sometimes we keep thinking or we keep talking about like, oh, this and that brand is coming to Sephora. This one is too dark for me. I can tell that already. But like, we never stop to think about what brand is leaving Sephora, what brand is leaving Ulta, because obviously the stores are not getting bigger. Some brands have to leave for other brands to come in. And I know that Item by Addison Rae was one of them, and I don't know if she's going to continue on her own or if she's just calling it quits, because honestly, I think that her saving grace was that she was available at Sephora. I don't know how many will be shopping from the brand, because it's not a brand that a lot of people are talking about now that she's no longer available there. So yeah, let me know if you tried anything from the brand. Also, Estée Edit. Do you remember Estée Edit? I remember Estée Edit. That was an interesting brand. I'm gonna see if I can use this one that's lighter. This one is in taupe. I'm gonna see if I can use a little bit of this one. Estée Edit was like the fun, young version of Estée Lauder, which it didn't really appeal to the people they were hoping to appeal to. It just, you know, it's like when adults sometimes talk down to you when you were a teenager. It felt like that. I'm gonna try a little bit more powder because I'm not loving how this area is looking. And I'm also not loving how my brows are looking, but it's because this pen was too pigmented and too dark for my brows. Oh, that's looking a lot better. I saved it with some Nikia Joy powder, which was nice. I want to do a lipstick. Do you remember Bite Beauty? A lot of people are saying that the reason why Bite Beauty went under is because they reformulated. They wanted to reformulate to become like vegan, which there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that they reformulated to vegan. I'm actually gonna see if I can use this is a lip liner, just something that matches the lipstick. But a lot of people said that when they reformulated to vegan, a lot of their formulas went downhills. At the end of the day, people want to pay for good makeup. And unfortunately, after the reformulation, a lot of people agreed that that was no longer what Bite was bringing to the table. But something that's still available from Bite, look, I got tint from the NYX brow pen, do you see that? Love that for me. Is that you can still go to the Bite Lip Lab and you can create your own lipstick. But now it's only called the Lip Lab, it's not called the Bite Lip Lab anymore. So I created one and I called it Orange because I wanted to do like a caramelly, like orangey leaning nude. That's like still a nude for me, but an orange. I actually did this when I was in New York together with Samantha March, and she did one of her shades and I did this shade, and I really do like it, and I like that the experience is still there. But I think the downfall for Bite is that they thought that going vegan was going to be more important to their customers than keeping their good formulas. And I was not able to try a lot of things from Bite because for me, Bite was not available outside of the US. I don't think, maybe in Canada, but I'm from Europe. I lived in Sweden up until the end of 2021. So I was never able to try Bite. So when I got to the US, they were already having that reputation of like, they're not doing that good. So I don't think anyone was super surprised that Bite was going under, especially not after what happened with Becca. I feel like when Becca went under, I feel like all bets were off and anything could happen. Oh, I actually had a lip liner here from KKW Beauty, and we've actually just found out that KKW Beauty is coming back as well. And one of the reasons that brand disappeared is, well, I'm guessing one of the reasons is that it was KKW Beauty, and now that she is no longer Kim Kardashian West, I don't think that she wanted to be that for obvious reasons. So I think she is coming back with her makeup this year, and she's gonna have it under skin. But also both Kylie Cosmetics and KKW Beauty was under the Seed Beauty brand, meaning that they probably were not owned by Colourpop, but they were made in that lab using probably some of their formulations, even though I know that most brands have their own formulations, but also some of their like secrets and packagings and all like that. And when they cut ties with Seed Beauty and they were bought by Coty, I think, they were basically like, listen, if you're gonna have your brand still, you're gonna have to start from the very beginning, because we are not accepting Colourpop. Seed Beauty was not accepting KKW Beauty to continue with anything that had been made in the Seed Beauty labs, including the formulas that they had. So that's also a big reason why they're like reformulating and everything. Now let's talk about some eyeshadows. And I think a lot of people were super sad. And I think a lot of people were super sad to see Makeup Geek go. I love Makeup Geek, and I know Marlena is saying that she's coming back with something, and I'm super excited to see what it is. Makeup Geek just was part of this like single shadow craze. I also have some coastal scents here. Honestly, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna be digging into some of this. I need to think, what am I doing? Or maybe I should do something with the shades that I used to love, because I used to love this one. I'm pretty sure that this is Poppy, and I'm pretty sure that this is Mai Tai. Should we see if I'm correct? Because if I am, I deserve something. Can you also see that there is a pan in my cupcake? Did we all see that? Yep, this is Poppy, and is this Mai Tai? And this is Mai Tai. Do I get a cookie? Do I get something? Anyone? No? Not doing that? Okay. I think that when it comes to coastal scents and Makeup Geek, and I have done videos on this, if you want to see like a video on each brand, like a dedicated video, I think that the things that I said in that video still stand true, and I also know that Marlena herself has talked about like what happened with Makeup Geek, and that like a lot of the things that happened with Makeup Geek was due to COVID and not being able to get new products in and stuff like that. I will say that I think, and I still stand by saying this, that both Coastal Scents and Makeup Geek was maybe not 100% realizing how much people actually are not shopping for single shadows in a bulk anymore as they did back in the day. Because when I came to YouTube, literally, if you put up a video with single shadows, it was always gonna get good views. People were so intrigued. Oh my god, what did I do here? So intrigued by single shadows. They wanted to see you build your own palettes. They wanted to see your favorites. Even when I had like 10,000 subscribers, would get 20,000 views on videos on Coastal Scents because people were so excited about single shadows. Now, having 120 something subscribers, if I put up a video about single shadows, I will get less than 10,000 views because it's not what's the bulk of people are super interested in anymore. And even like Jaclyn Hill and like bigger YouTubers were doing videos about single shadows because it was what people were interested in. And you never see any bigger YouTubers talk about stuff like that anymore because it's not what people are like. They know that's not going to drive a lot of traffic or stuff like that. And even though you might be super interested, like you, the individual, might be super interested in like single shadows or in colorful single shadows or even neutral single shadows were super interesting and people were so intrigued. The bulk of people are not looking for that kind of content on social media anymore. Even brands that were doing palettes like Urban Decay and Anastasia Beverly Hills, they were trying to get into the single shadow market, the whole scene of it, because like ABH released some single shadows and I think they still might have some, and Urban Decay tried this whole like build your own palette kind of a thing that was super bulky, but they all were losing the thing about single shadows that was like you could buy some interesting shades and build your own palettes, and you needed to have a lot of shades to choose from and they needed to be like a little interesting, and neither one of those two brands were really catching on to that. I want to see what kind of a brush I want to use and what kind of a shade I want to use, because I'm thinking I might use just this one, or do I want to do, maybe I'll do this one, the red one, now that I'm thinking of it, or do I want to do something from the Coastal Scents one, because I love my Coastal Scents shadows. Actually, I might just do Makeup Geek for this, but I love those shadows so much, and it doesn't really matter what shadows I'm using because these are not available anymore, unfortunately. So it's just a red matte here in the bottom. But then something happened. Morphe 35O happened, the ABH Modern Renaissance happened, and all of a sudden people were like, wait, we're back on the curated eyeshadow palette train. And I'm gonna be honest with you, we haven't left. Most people are the most interested in that, and there is a reason why a lot of brands, indie brands that are known for making single shadows now are really trying to break into the curated palette scene, because it is easier for most people to just buy a curated palette and not have to like worry about what colors go together, what if I end up buying dupes, will these look good next to each other, are these the same undertone. These are a lot of things that I know people wonder about, and when it comes to like special shadows, people are still interested in buying singles because like maybe they want to buy one special shadow from like Cleonad or Terra Moon or something like that. But when it comes to like mattes and shimmers, a lot of people do prefer to just have that handed over to them. That's not the right one. So that they don't have to decide what goes together, because it isn't that easy. And I think that like Makeup Geek, they truly, I mean, my shadows are still good. Like I'm using them and these are old shadows. They truly had something going on. And I really think that if they brought this formula in curated palettes with like some interesting color stories that were bringing something new to the market, I really think that like they would have like had the ability to make a comeback. But they had been, due to the pandemic and due to the issues that they had just been too quiet for too long. And sometimes it's hard to catch up, honestly, which is a shame because I mean, this looks incredible. And I love my Makeup Geek shadows. We are gonna use Mai Tai. Mai Tai is pretty similar to, do you remember Fireball from Urban Decay? I don't know if it's still available. It is a peach pink duochrome. And I used to love that during the summer. And I mean, go me, where is it? Here it is. Let me spray it a bit so we don't get more fallout than I already have. I used to love this in the summer together with peaches like Poppy, because it just gives this beautiful pinky peach duochrome. And how good that I'm doing this on this lovely July, what is it, Wednesday? Time has lost its meaning to just, I don't know, think about the good old days when I used to do this combo a lot during summer days. Oh my god, my dog is being super dramatic. Oh my god, I was just talking to my friends on Polo, and I was saying that like Makeup Geek literally has no right, I'm gonna use this new mascara from BH Cosmetics, no right looking this good after this many years when some brands are like average at best even from the get-go. So this is the feathered lash. I love the makeup look. The only thing that I don't love are the brows, but did I get more color? Oh my god, look at me, I'm a mess. I am a mess. Look, I have blue here. Where'd that come from? And the only reason I don't like the brows is because they're too dark. I don't like my brows being this dark. This one is very long, like the brush, but it's not super fat, which is something that I like, because I like my brushes to be smaller. Oh my god, I got a little bit underneath, but I'll fix that. Let's talk about two more brands that I have never tried that have been, like, that are gone. One of them is Lila B, and another one is Aether Beauty. I think both of the reasons for me why I have never tried any of these brands, oh my god, I am all over the place. It might be that the brush is too big, is that none of them had things that really spoke to me. Like, they were more of the minimalistic kind of at least Lila B was, more of the minimalistic kind of makeup aesthetics, which isn't my journey. I like a low coverage foundation because I like my own skin to peek through, but I like a lot of color and drama on the eyes. And Aether Beauty, none of their eyeshadow palettes truly were unique enough to like draw me in. I think they might be in the clean makeup brand, which is not something that I care about because sometimes it literally is just words. But they're also trying to be like an environmentally friendly brand, and sometimes it is hard to balance that, and also balancing like wanting people to buy your products, because consumerism at its core is not environmentally friendly. I mean, people are like, oh, there's green consumerism. No, there isn't. No. I have my degree in environmental science, and there is not. I'm sorry. That's just something we tell ourselves to feel better and sleep better at night, but there isn't. And I feel like both of those brands didn't make enough of a mark on the community, and I didn't see enough people talking about them. And I think that Aether Beauty was available at Sephora for a time, but I'm guessing they didn't draw enough crowds or like enough people buying their products to be able to stay at Sephora. I also saw a video as of late, quite lately. I'm not figuring out how to say that properly. From Robert Welch, where he was talking about Dragon Beauty and if it was like destined to fail basically. And it really got me thinking because like I said, I started my own beauty brand. This mascara is lengthening. I like it on my top lashes, but I don't like it on my bottom lashes because you can probably see that like it ended up getting a little smudgy, but I'll fix that. And it got me thinking, is it a mistake? Is it a mistake to start an influencer brand in this day and age? because he was also talking about how comes, like, the reasons why he thought that some, wait, how did he word it? Because he didn't say the reasons why he thought some made it and some didn't, but he said, oh, I think he asked if people wanted to see a video about why some influencer brands make it and some do not. And I thought it was a really interesting premise, and it also got me thinking, what made me start my brand in this day and age when like brands are failing and going bankrupt, and like what is the idea? And I also hope that this video a little bit, I'm actually going to put on half flash, also made us all realize that it's not necessarily always that a brand is just failing that makes it go bankrupt. It can be like with Becca, because I don't think that Becca was failing. I just think that they weren't doing good enough, and had they not been owned by Estee Lauder, I don't think they would have been quote unquote cancelled, because there might have been like a coming back from that. But like Estee Lauder just didn't have faith in like the future of the brand. And I also think that it is interesting sometimes what I think is a reason why a brand might not have done as good might not at all be the reason why a brand is not doing as good. And also, like, we really have no idea of knowing brands that are available at Sephora when they go bankrupt or when they go under or when they are no longer available at Sephora. It makes you realize that it's not the size of the brand. No ship is unsinkable. It's just that like sometimes also being in a lot of places, being in a lot of retailers, having a lot of gondolas, that is a lot of having a lot of staff. That is a lot of like costs that you have to bring in. I just find it fascinating because if it's a smaller brand, if it's an indie brand, I mean smaller than like Makeup Geek, you can always take another job and rework the vision of the brand. And if you don't have any employees, you can always be like, oh, I guess we're in the red now for a little bit, or not even in the red, maybe just breaking even because you don't have that many expenses. Maybe you're shipping your orders from home like I am right now, and it doesn't even matter if you're not selling that much for a couple of months because it's not as easy of a ship to sink because there's not a lot of expenses that has to be paid every month. I hope that this is making sense, and I never want to speculate of like what brands could be next. But I definitely will say when these kind of things happen, it always makes us speculate like, how are brands really doing? I'm just waiting for the glue to like dry a bit, because there has been some brands that have been pulling out from different markets like Glam Glow, Smashbox, Urban Decay, that have been pulling out from different markets. And let's not forget what happened with Morphe and Forma brand. Like, they were expanding like no other. All of a sudden, they became this super, super big like juggernaut. And the pandemic happened and small things start to happen. They become bigger ripples and the ship just starts to sink because it's just too much. It's too many expenses. And also something that I know that every time you mention this, there is always people saying, oh, influencer marketing isn't everything. Social media isn't everything. There are people that go out and buy brands. There are definitely legacy brands and legacy products that sell on their own. But I think that the average consumer maybe do not realize to the extent social media can drive sales on a product. And if you are a brand that are used to getting sales because of social media and all of a sudden you no longer are, that can make a very big difference on the end of the year result. So what was the whole point of this video? You might ask yourself. Honestly, I just wanted to talk about brands that are gone, brands that we used to talk about, or brands that we used to be able to shop from, or brands that was almost gone and came back from the dead, and some of them might be doing better than others, and just honestly talk about which ones I had used, which ones I had thoughts about. As you can see, my Makeup Geek singles are still in my collection. Like, my skin tint from Becca is still in my collection. I'm still interested enough in BH Cosmetics to buy, what was it, like 8-9 different products from the new launch from them. These are brands that I am excited about, that I want to come back. Like, I would not be sad if Makeup Geek come back, to be honest. But also there are some brands that I clearly don't give a flying fluff about. Like, I don't care about Aether Beauty. Honestly, I don't care about Bite Beauty, Glossier Play, Estee Edit. I'm looking at my list here. I don't care about Lila B. Honestly, I don't care about what happens with Morphe either, because I was never in love with their formulas. But I think that, like, at the end of the day, brands come and go. It's the same with like fashion as well. It's the same with like just stores where you go to shop. Stores, fashion, brands, TV shows, they come, they go, they're popular, they disappear, some come back again in a new way. And I think that, like, in the beauty community, we had this extreme like bubble in like 2016, 2017, and the bubble did burst a little bit, and we definitely got to see who weathered the storm and who did not. And I think that, like, what happened in 2020 also really accelerated the process of like how fast this bubble burst, because now we get to see who's still here. And I've said this before, I don't think that this is the end of it. I think we were in an era where brands were just popping up like mushrooms in a moist forest, and now we're at an era where, like, who gets to stay and who gets to go, we're literally at like Survivor, like the who gets voted off the island. And I don't think that we are at our last final ones. And with that being said, again, if you would like me to talk more about like how do I feel about my own brand in this kind of insecure time where brands are dropping like flies, please let me know what you if you would like me to talk more about that. I'm always open. I love doing chatty get ready with me's, and I love doing chatty get ready with me's that's not about new makeup. That's not about the new, but it's also about like mixing and matching. Love the eye look. It feels very Angie 2017. Also loving the blush and the highlighter. Also, did you see the back of my hair? Nobody look at that. So yeah, I think overall this look is beautiful. I'm gonna film another look. I hope you're having an amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!